You might think video games are only played in dark basements by computer-addicted geeks, but it's a very big business enjoyed by millions around the globe. In Western Australia, the dreams of local designers and developers came true when an international company came to Perth to develop an online soccer game. Great news, you'd think, until the company stopped paying its staff and eventually went bust, setting up shop elsewhere. Jake Sturmer reports.
You're the quick reaction force, gentlemen. Trusting you to handle this.
You'd be forgiven for thinking these are scenes from the latest Hollywood blockbuster.
I said get down on the ground!
And while it's likely to make just as much money as a big budget box office thriller, it's actually a video game.
Games are far bigger than I think a lot of people do give them credit for.
Real professionals.
And they're no longer bought by just teenagers. Annually, the gaming industry is worth more than $10 billion. Tim Colwill was in the game. Now he's just browsing the shelves. The product he was helping design never made it to market.
When this big American company came in with a lot of cash and started hiring people and working on a big budget game, everyone was really excited. Like, this is the start of it all, and it really wasn't.
American game studio Interzone came to Perth a few years ago with high hopes. It was backed by the state government to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars and was supposed to bring jobs and boost the credibility of the local gaming industry. Their first job was to create a large-scale soccer game.
Soccer is at its most fun when playing against a challenging team.
Little did the designers and developers know the challenging team would turn out to be their American bosses. Pay packets became less and less frequent due to the global financial crisis. Studios in China and Brazil were shut down, and the writing was on the wall in Perth.
Why did you continue to work without pay?
Well, I think the thing you have to understand about games development is that people are in it for the love, and they really want to make games, and so they will work without pay because they really believe in what they're doing. And that was the case, especially in Perth, where there was no other games company doing anything at all.
The workers claim to be owed more than $600,000, and the tax office is understood to be seeking around $1 million. Money that's unlikely to ever reach anyone's bank balances, given the company was liquidated last year. But for Tim Colwill and the other workers, that's not the worst of it.
Hey, Mike.
As the studio began to collapse, Interzone's Vice President of Business Development, Mike Turner, came to Perth and took all the intellectual property and moved it to a studio in Canberra. The event filmed and documented by former staff members.
I need you guys to all leave. I'm the only one who's permitted to be here. And you're all trespassing.
To make a decision like taking the game away from the people who created it and paying other people to finish it with the money you supposedly don't have. You know, a lot of us are very angry at Marty and Mike and Greg for the way they treated us.
The game has now been rebranded Online Soccer Champions and is being developed by Canberra games studio Microforte. A preview version was released late last year, but since December there have been no public updates. The ABC understands the game was supposed to be completed by August this year, but nothing has been announced publicly.
At the end of the day, everyone has been really badly screwed over, not just us in Perth.
I think there really is a lot of sort of abuse of young gamers who are taking that step to become developers. And I think it does sort of happen in a few studios.
Industry observer Seamus Byrne had his finger on the joystick when Interzone was starting to collapse. Last year, he received emails from Interzone's CEO, Marty Bricky, stating the company had done nothing illegal and that it intended to settle the tax and superannuation debt in Perth. Mr Bricky claimed the payroll company Interzone was using had gone bankrupt after deducting hundreds of thousands of dollars due to be paid to the ATO.
How do you propose to pay the outstanding pay of previous and current employees?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm seeing that there's probably not going to be a lot of benefit in me continuing to be recorded and ask questions that I'm not going to be answering on camera.
That was in February last year when Interzone's Mike Turner was questioned by employees. As for answers, the former staff say they're still waiting for them.
Examples like Interzone, sadly, aren't singular instances. I mean, it was a particularly sort of nasty scenario, but you have a situation here where people's hopes and dreams are built around becoming a game developer.
And in Australia, the market is small and getting smaller by the day. Back at the games store, just how many of the games on this wall were developed in Australia? The answer is one.
LA Noire is one of the few games left in the store that's actually Australian made. And even then, the Team Bondi Sydney studio that created LA Noire has now been shut down under serious allegations of mismanagement, leaving 100 employees out of work. And this is just, one of the string of shutdowns in Australia over the last 12 months.
So what hope is there for Australian students hopeful of finding a job?
So do we even need a bond? Yeah, you do. I tell them that it's very hard to get a job in the game industry, and that if you're not passionate about this industry, you shouldn't be pursuing this.
Game designer Josh Whitkin flew to Perth from San Francisco to work with Interzone, but he left the company early on to take up a teaching position at Murdoch University.
Why is it that a West Australian university then offers a degree for an industry where there are very few jobs in Perth?
They want the opportunity to learn the skills and to build those games for their kids and for their peers, for themselves. And this degree lets them develop those skills and pursue that dream. I think that's great. I think universities should do that.
I think if you work in games, it's the kind of job where you want to go to work. You want to go to work every single day, and you go to work because you love it, and
because it's easy,
and not because it's easy
or pay well.
It's the passion, definitely.
And if it's a passion for big budget games, after Interzone's demise, it's unlikely to be filled in Perth or even Australia.
And when you hit the spikes, you're going to do a Sonic-style explosion of coins.
But thanks to their teachers' contacts, the games they're working on today will eventually be shown off to a large international development studio.
If they build something great and they impress the right people, this could lead to a life-changing experience for them. So, as you can imagine, that's highly motivating. This potentially could be their dreams coming true.
Dreams that once held true for Tim Colwill, but now it's game over.
Jake Sturmer reporting there.